Okay, prego, we're back. That's probably a really, really terrible Italian
Prego.
pronunciation. Prego, we're back. They said prego a lot of times. I
A
actually don't
lot.
know what that word means. Is it like here? I don't even know what that word means. But
Is it like
anyway,
all right?
yeah, I'm probably all right, maybe like good. I don't know. Probably me not knowing as to the humor, but also makes me look severely uneducated. But it is what it is. Um, so yeah, we are back for episodes 4 to 8 of
Yes.
Ripley. Yes. Um, and yeah, so if you're checking the feed, there should be some Invincible finales there. There should be The Regime there. There's some fun shows that are going to be covered, Sugar and Apple TV. Yeah, there's just
Yes.
some fun stuff. You just have to stay tuned and see,
Yes.
what we're up to. Um, yeah, although this discussion is not going to be as fun as I guess it's fun in a dark way, in a like sinister way, maybe because
It's definitely a
it's not
different tone to Invincible or something.
definitely not the same tone as Invincible. So if you're coming here and you haven't watched this and you're thinking, oh, I'm just gonna have a nice fun recording, listening to Ayisha and Shore speak, like it's gonna be fantastic. I'm just gonna have a lovely time. I can listen to it in my car on my way to work. Yeah, you're gonna have a lovely time. If you like dark and twisty stuff, this is where you're at. It's dark and twisty in tone, it's dark and twisty in actual color, in actual
Yeah.
style, everything. Everything is dark and twisty. So yeah, so we're just gonna take you through what happened episode 4 to episodes 1 to 4, which is basically the exposition, who is Ripley, the death of Dickie,
Mhm.
Ripley fleeing from Arsini, going away, and yeah, and now we are at this point. Really, I would say a nice halfway point. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think
Mm.
we're at a good. It's a good splitting point. That episode 1 to 4. It's a big.
Yeah.
There's a shift. There's just a narrative shift of everything. And once you hit
Mhm.
episode 5,
Yeah, you're like there. I think it's
big time.
interesting. And we can probably look back at our predictions for what we thought it was going to be. And I
Yeah, yeah,
said it was going to be super procedural. Like, as in, we're
yeah.
going to see him do every little minute thing, and we're going to love watching how to dispose of a body. And I think that somewhat is what happened. How does your prediction of what you thought these final episodes would be compared to what actually they were?
I think I my prediction was that everyone's just gonna start spotting all his fuck ups and all his mess ups
Yeah.
and all his like
Yeah,
they're just gonna start
exactly.
spotting him and it's like
Manhunt, but
oh
actually
yeah
successful manhunt, which certainly
uh,
wasn't the case here.
was not the case. I was wrong. I I I mean kudos to him. But yeah,
No, like
that's when we talk about episode 8. We'll talk more about that. But
I mean,
hey,
I've never seen anything like it. But I mean, I will talk about it, and I think now after us watching it and through, you know, um, discussing, we'll probably realize that there are probably some like nuances that, upon thinking or ruminating on, you find
mm,
that are actually like things that are intentional as opposed to just
mhm.
like these people are just absolute dunces. Why can't they just find this dude? Like, what is going on? Like, who is like? Is it just the Italian system? Like, do we need to get another country in on this? Like, are they just terrible at like detective work? Like, are we going to blame the whole country now? Like, I
I
don't know.
mean, we could talk about that second detective that the guy asked for help from, and it's just like,
I mean,
yeah, dude,
what do you
like,
mean?
what do you want me to do?
Actually, do you know what? Actually, I'm not going to in this. I'm not going to call out Inspector Pietro Raffini. I'm not going to call him
Okay,
out. Cute
I know you are.
man, and and he just he was just a lovely kind of dude, and I think he did work hard. He did work
Yeah, I
hard.
mean,
I
he
think
worked
I
hard.
just
Like, to be honest, he didn't need to like some of the things like he didn't need to go that far from a
he didn't
like
need to go
perspective
that
of he
far.
went above and beyond in some ways, but
But I do think,
yeah,
I think we'll get into it in the episodes, but I think, but I just want to say, like, we'll say a lot of things. I just want to, like,
mhm,
maybe just put a little halo an embargo of a bad press on Inspector Ravini. Like he can't get the hate. He's like
I
he's my
mean,
MVP.
mean, I would give like before we put this embargo in place. Let me just say a few things. Like
All
he
right,
was
okay,
aggressive.
go off, go
It
off,
was a
go
little.
off, go off.
It was a little.
Fine.
It was a little like he made assumptions too easily. I think
That's
he
true.
made a few assumptions too easily because, but then we'll get to like what he actually did. But like he just made some assumptions a bit too fast, and I was like, you know what? As a detective, step like slow down. Like the
True.
the
True.
the dog guy is like, yo, you're
Mm.
grilling this guy. He just saw somebody. That's all he did. You're grilling this guy like he killed him.
Oh my
Oh.
goodness. No, like I mean, I also thought that like in an investigation, right? It just was
Mhm.
strange. Obviously, we'll talk about it in relation to Marge because I think that's a really interesting thing
Mhm.
when you talk about it because it's like surely if you're trying to find who killed Dickie or where Dickie is, you'd be more cooperative. Like I felt like everyone was so
Yeah,
cagey. Like why did no one
I
want to
feel
give up
so. I
any
feel,
information? It was so
but
weird, and they didn't. They yeah. What do you say?
I actually think that in a way, I can imagine that because, like, in their heads, like, I feel like in their heads, Dickie's still Dickie, and they're like, the
That's true.
police are trying to. They're the enemies here. They're
Yeah,
trying to
that's
get
true.
Dickie in jail.
I s
It's like,
I certainly felt that with Marge because I was just thinking
hmm
about imagine like your loved one is implicated in some sort of crime you don't know,
yeah,
and a lot of things are happening that doesn't sound like them. So you think, okay, there's conspiracy involved, right? There must be.
hmm
So you're torn in between giving all the information to help the case, but you could also be further incriminating him. So that's
exactly.
that like kind of like medium that's like really hard to like strike. And I could understand that from her, but I mean, everyone else, they had nothing to lose. They just were like deciding to be mysterious. Like,
Seriously
why would
crazy. Yeah,
like, like just give information and let's find this dude? Like, come
let's
on.
move. Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, on the topic of let's move, let's go through
yeah.
the I'll give the mic over to you to go through
hmm
the synopsis of episode 6. So that's some heavy
So
instrument. Oh, sorry, episode
episode 5.
5.
All
Episode
right.
5.
Okay.
Episode 6 is some
Yeah.
heavy instrument, but let's do episode
So
5 first.
episode 5. Okay. So episode 5. I think it starts off with Freddy meeting up with
Mhm.
finding
Mhm.
um Dickie Greenleaf,
Mhm.
Tom Ripley, who's now
Mhm.
successfully
Mm.
he's done what he needs to do to get into Dickie Greenleaf's life. He's got his
I mean,
place in Rome. He's got his like he's good. He's sorted in his mind. He's like everything's good.
but
And
I
then
didn't see a fridge. Did you see a fridge?
not then, but actually, yeah, true, true, true. There's no fridge. He's still a little like okay,
He might be a liar,
freedom.
he might be a con, he might be a fraud, but at least he's true to his philosophies on
Well,
freedom in terms of fridges. Like,
until episode 8, where he gets a fridge.
exactly. He's such a like I just think like it just oh anyway. Maybe he's true to the con artist lifestyle. That's what he is.
He is. I think that's very true. Actually, he's like true to himself. Like he's true. He's a scammer. He's a scammer at heart.
Maybe that in itself is like a market change in terms of he has all these ideals which are like so weird and like I
hmm
don't know whatever like faux like morals, and then all of a
hmm
sudden he's like no actually the one thing I am true to myself and the only thing I believe in is scamming. So I don't even give a damn about what I said about the fridge. I'm gonna get the fridge now. So he's abandoned everything. Now he's just like a little like he just morphs into other people like that like Jennifer Lawrence's character in X-Men. Was it Electra or
Oh right,
something? The
like
blue lady.
Mystique. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
Mystique.
Blue
What did I say?
Lady.
Electra. Mystique.
Blue
The
Lady.
blue lady. Yeah, that's basically who he is. He's the blue lady now. Um
Yes. But
yeah. Okay, so episode 5, that is
episode
basically
5, yeah. And then
yeah.
Freddy catches up with him and is like
Mm.
starts to get suspicious, and then you just got to take him out. You get
You know
suspicious, got to take
what?
take him out with a
I
cigar. But
I loved I loved Freddie's suspicion and I felt like it was
yeah,
very true to
it
his
was good on
character.
point and true
He
exactly.
was on point, but I think the dumbest thing for me is what I keep thinking, and they do it a lot in like a lot of things, you know. You are calling someone out, and you're calling them
Yeah.
out about a murder. Why
To be
then would you
honest,
not be worried for your safety?
I think
Like,
that's the thing. Like, I feel the only way is that he couldn't have believed that he murdered him. In his mind, he must be like, "What? You've done something with him. He's somewhere. He's hidden. He's like you've put him
yeah, but
somewhere."
even
But
then,
like,
he's a
they
kidnapper.
murdered him. Yeah, exactly. Still a
So
terrible person.
I'm confused, quite frankly. No, but it happens so many times where they're like, "No, I know what you did. You killed him."
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's just going to kill
To
you.
kill you.
Like,
You've
at
understood he's
least
not averse to killing. That's just part of the course.
literally just say it in a way that is at least you're also protecting yourself.
Exactly. You
You
just walk,
know,
just be like, "Oh, okay, okay, bye," and then call the police when you're outside. Very, very
I
simple
mean,
one too. But
anyway, I enjoyed
Freddie,
like the anticipation, like the horror of like I
yeah,
know you. I mean, come on, you knew you knew as soon as Freddie started running his mouth, he was like, "Nope, I'm gonna silence you forever.
yeah,
Like you're not the only
exactly.
words you're
Like
gonna have
what's
is in this house." He was
when
done.
like when he did that moment of he left the house, saw the guy,
Mm,
the housekeeper, the house
hmm
owner, landlord
mm,
downstairs, talked to
mm.
her, and then walked back upstairs. I was like, "You're done." Once you walked back upstairs, I know you're suspicious, but
I'm so
you've ruined it
sorry.
for yourself. You're
I'm
going
so
into the
sorry.
sleep.
Yeah.
You're done
So
for.
episode 5 is basically the death of Freddy. I would say is like
Hmm.
the main
Yeah,
synopsis of what
yeah, it's the
happens.
death
And
of Freddy, and like bringing in new hands. Like without the
mm,
death of Freddy, Dick Greenleaf is just a missing guy. But now the death of Freddy, now he's a suspect. Now Dick Greenleaf is a suspect. Like yeah,
but I just yeah, exactly. It just worked out quite well for Tom, really, that
yeah,
he could just implicate um Tiki. And it's interesting because I think episode 4 is called La Dolce Vita, and it's
hmm,
basically just he's his new life. He's realizing what it
yeah.
means to be Dickie Greenleaf, and he's
Dick
enjoying his
Greenleaf,
life. And then
yeah.
the next one is called Lucio. So it's like it's focused. It is really actually focused on one person, and
Hmm.
I guess the victim would be
Hmm.
um Freddie in that case. I do
Yeah.
enjoy the fact that we can give like one line synopsis for each of
To,
these episodes. I don't know, it's
yeah, it's a very like structured. Like you could easily go,
yeah,
this happens here, this happens here, this happens here, this happens here, and boom,
it's
go.
really structured. How are you
Hmm.
feeling right now about you had an issue before, not with the pacing, but you had an issue
Hmm.
with the slowness of it. Like,
I
how are you feeling now?
I don't say it was an issue. It was like a very deliberate thing they did, but in
Mm,
my head, it was just something that was it stuck out to me. It was very like it
mm,
was pointed, and you could definitely tell that this is what they did on
yeah.
purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like from 5 to 8, they changed that slightly. Like it's definitely seemed
Mm,
more going
mm,
on, more
mm-hmm.
happening. At the same time, Freddy's death is still a very much a slow process of okay, let's get rid of this body and show you everything all the way through it. Like he's gonna take the
You know
scarf,
what?
wrap the scarf around his head, soak it up, go to water, rinse out the scarf, come back, wrap it around his head again, and then
No,
put it to cover
listen,
his head, walk downstairs.
gosh. The stairs again. The stairs. Stair
Yeah,
watch. I have more on the stairs.
the
I have
the
more on the
motifs
stairs.
for stairs, it's like this crazy.
I
There's so
mean,
many stairs.
winding web, aerial shot. I
Yeah,
mean, come on. Like
yeah, it
this
was
is
crazy.
like
Even in the coroner's office, is like the stairs. It's coroner's office at the bed of the bunch of stairs, like going up, and you're like, this is
I did
they
think something about those stairs, and I thought about it
yeah.
when I think it's around episode 8 when
Hmm.
the inspector starts to questions Tom or Dickie,
Hmm.
whoever, whatever he is on whatever day, which character he's choosing to fight with today. I don't know. It questions Tom and says, "Oh," and he was like, "Oh, we were in Arsini," and he goes, "There are a lot of stairs there. Like my wife
Yeah,
comes from there. There are lots of stairs." And he looked at him like, "Why would you choose to live there? There's so many
exactly
stairs."
stairs.
And I did think that in the first episode, someone as rich as Dickie, He could choose
Hmm.
anywhere in Italy to live. Obviously, that's a
Yeah,
stunning villa. Why would he
yeah, it
choose
is
somewhere with so many
with
stairs,
so
like
much
with
stairs.
so much? So, and I do think it's that thing of like what Tom was trying to represent in the final episode, which
Hmm.
was about presenting Dickie as this dude that really didn't try and knew he was, he was inadequate and all he had was his money to show for him.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think that's actually I wouldn't say the opposite, but it's not accurately describing Dickie. I think Dickie actually
Hmm.
was trying to be someone and to separate himself from his privilege and try to like
Hmm.
kind of like push himself to experience some level of struggle or fight. And I think the
Hmm.
idea of like the villa or whatever being up with loads of stairs, like he will climb those stairs up and down every day.
Hmm.
He
That's
wants
true.
to
That's
like
true.
he will want to do the work of climbing those stairs up and down every day because and when he gets up there, yes, he does have this really comfortable, amazing looking picturesque villa, but he is
Yeah,
also still climbing up the stairs every day. So
yeah.
I don't know, I was really fascinated by, and also the tonality, the tone of when the inspector said it. He was so suspicious. He was like, why would you choose to live there? He just seemed like not my vibe. He was like, I
Yeah,
mean,
to be
cool
honest
for
with you,
you. I
everyone that
mean,
walked up the stairs except from like Dickie and Marge was like, "Yo, this is long. This is a journey."
and
He's like,
yeah, and I think it's just interesting in terms of like, you can try and emulate someone as much as you want, but if you ain't about that life, you ain't about that life.
"Yeah, that's
And they
really
were
it.
about
That's
that
really
life. So,
facts." I think that's
you
even
know?
saying that. I think that's all that like that idea of like difference in standing in society.
Hmm.
Like they
Hmm.
just really they weren't about that life. But you can see by the end, what's the name? Tom is just taking stairs like a champ.
Yeah.
He's like no problem. Stairs is
He
part of the
is.
life.
It is part of it. And yeah, I just found it very interesting in terms of a guy that can get everything he wants.
Hmm.
Why would he why would
Live
he
in
want to
such a
live? Or
different.
maybe, I thought, okay,
Yeah,
and also they use stairs so much. I know that in that writer's room, they were like, stairs. Okay, then
exactly.
chunk in some stairs there. You know what's next? Sprinkle in some more stairs. How about that?
That's
Like, what can we do?
the
Shove up
amount of
stairs.
stairs is crazy.
Like, I could
The
have
first
a
the person
whole,
who
like,
shot this architecture, they love it. They love
I mean,
architecture because
no, oh
they
no, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just gonna go after this, and I bet it's gonna be just people that they're just architects, or they want to be architects, and
yeah,
they maybe were never
just
let into the club. Like, you know.
I know that whoever
um,
the location scout was for this show, I respect it.
I
They
mean,
the amount of work they must have done to
so
get these places together. It's like,
good.
yo,
I
all the
was, I
locations were dope. It's like the beautiful
no, honestly,
set
and
pieces. Oh,
it's just so interesting because it's just amazingly shot as well. Like
exactly.
amazing shot to
Oh,
the point at which, in I think it was in this episode, I'm pretty sure there was the coroners where they were
yeah,
checking Freddie's body, and there's this
yeah.
really nice shot of like the headlight,
Still, oh,
and there's
okay,
like a
headlights. I
headlight
thought we were
the
doing the
headlight
needle one.
Oh yeah, the needle one's good too. The needle one's good too, but then
I
there's the
was like
headlight.
that.
There's so many. And then there's the one from the stairs looking at looking
Yeah,
down
on his
at
bed
the
and the
with
pretty
his
on the
body
pallet.
laid on the table.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was just like, you can almost like every other minute, there's a shot that you can just pause and just print it and put it on your wall and
yeah.
just be like,
Because
this
they
is enough.
actively, exactly, they actively sought after beautiful shots, and it's like you could see it in every. The composition is just so good throughout the whole show. It's like incredible.
No,
It's
it's
really
so incredible.
like
It's
the
so incredible.
framing, everything just looks so good. Like the even like when the B-roll shots, those little shots that really don't matter, is like they look
Still
amazing. They
good.
look really good,
Still
and
good.
I'm like,
Like,
yo,
I mean,
like,
if okay, so if the first four episodes to me, I think
hmm.
visually, if the first four episodes were about for me about staging and framing, so you have a
Hmm.
lot of arches, you have you're showing
Hmm.
scale, you have maybe like Dickie standing in the middle of it, and it's like framing and stuff like that. I think
Hmm.
these other episodes are about more about like light shadow, basically creating a painting.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like they were just
very much
creating.
creating a painting because like yeah, some of the shots like one of the shots like the shot of the when we see Freddy in the car that
Mhm.
via
Mhm.
Appiace. At this point,
Yes, yes.
I'm learning some Italian from this. Um,
You know more than
the
me.
where it's like,
All I said is prego, prego. That's all I know. Oh
it's
my
like
gosh.
it, it was actually so dope because you see all the trees, the way everything is just stationed
Mm.
and sectioned off.
Mhm.
It just
Yeah.
looks like a painting, like so well
It's
put
so
together,
well
and look
shot. It's
colors.
just
It's
so
like
nice.
for black and white, it's like you could see the color in it as though it's just so
Yeah.
weird. Weirdly,
That's the
it's so
thing.
good. It's just so good.
It's so
Like the
good. And
water
it's
when they were doing when he was on the boat, I was like, "Yo, why is this? So, it doesn't need to be this good. You don't need to go that hard."
it no, he honestly doesn't need to go this hard. Like
Facts,
like
but it's like,
doesn't. Like no, like this is like working overtime. Like this is no sleep, no
yo,
food, no water. This
just
is
just no
like
soul was just drawing away or drawing all those those like set sketches and shots. I
all
was
he
like,
has to
"Yo,
nourish
this
him
is
is his
fire."
determination. He just has fire in his
Exactly.
veins.
Bro, the rent was due. It was
No,
due.
the rent was due. Like absolutely due. Like honestly. Yeah, so in terms of episode 5,
Yeah.
I want to also discuss the landlady where
Yeah,
he was
yeah, yeah.
living, episode 5. She was hardcore flirting with Tom at the
I
start.
get,
Did you
okay.
notice that?
I hope it wasn't just me getting a vibe. Like I was like, yo, she. I think especially
That
closer
was
to the
like
end, I'm like,
SPF
yo,
700.
you guys. I'm like, are they trying to put a little relationship in? What is this? What are you
I
guys
I
trying to do?
actually I actually thought maybe they were going to, because the way she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you don't have any kids? You're not married?
Hmm.
Oh, oh, that's
But at the same
interesting."
time, like when she started, I was like, oh, she's like probing him as like you can't pay for
Mm,
this, you can't do. But then the second
yeah,
he's like it's confirmed, he's paid and everything's like that. She's
yeah.
like, hmm, huh.
Yeah, because
Let
I
me
don't know, or
let me
maybe
see what this.
read her flirtation as maybe I read her suspicion as flirtation.
Person.
I actually no, I don't think
I don't think
I
she
don't
was
think
suspicious. I don't think
she
she was
was
suspicious at
flirting with
all.
him. I don't think she was suspicious. I mean,
She was either
actually, I
like,
wouldn't even pick up on your point. She was opposite of suspicious, because you remember when she found the blood and just
yeah,
cleaned it up.
but yeah, she was like, it can't be. Like in her head, it was like, it's a mouse. You
And
can't kill the mouse. That's
the
easy, easy
worst
money.
part,
That's it.
the funniest part for me, actually, the part that I found funny was when she apologized to Tom for the blood.
Yeah, he's like,
I was like, I was like, um,
he just walked up the stairs like, well, it
um.
is what it is. Yeah,
I could see in his eyes he lost all respect for her in that moment, because he for a second he thought he was about to get caught, and then she just ran to apologize, and then he just went on this bit. He was like, "This shit, this isn't anything for me. This is light work.
exactly.
Like, come on."
Like work.
No.
Oh.
Another thing that also really annoyed me
Hmm.
was the scarf. The
Which
scarf that
one?
Marge
March's
knitted.
scarf that he just dipped.
I I I really, and it comes up again, and I
Why?
think
He liked it, or he didn't like it. Sorry. Why is it an issue?
she knitted that scarf. She put in hours of work. Like, be a horrible
I mean,
person, but
I
can you
respect
really be
it.
that bad?
I
You
respect
risk
it, but at the same, no. I respect her the scarf and everything, but you know, Tom's not like they hate each other. Like they're for real,
it
they hate
just
each
I
other.
mean I mean
So it's,
I know, I
she
just
just put
feel
love in
like
it for Dicky, but like
no,
Tom's
I just feel
Tom's not
like
the same for
that
himself.
was, to me, like the most egregious
Oh, it
thing
was
was
rude.
that
It was
scarf.
rude.
Because
That
I
was
was just
rude.
like, that is like, and the way he threw it, like he was sassy. Like he was so sassy. I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
mean, what did the scarf do to you? The scarf's done nothing wrong. The scarf is just like living its life.
Exactly. You could just have a nice scarf. It would have
Yeah,
been
I
nice.
think I literally wrote on my thing,
Yes.
the scarf. She knitted that thing! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark!
Oh, jeez.
People
I
are listening to this thinking we're gonna talk about, like, I don't know, like fun stuff, and I'm here moaning about this
read about the
scarf, and
scarf.
I'm
I
always
mean,
focused on the wrong things entirely. Like, he killed someone in this episode, and I'm like, no, it's a
yo,
fucking
the
scarf.
scarf was a problem.
This is
That's literally the worst thing he could have done for you. For you, that's like, oh,
no,
he
but
killed someone,
I'm
yeah, but like the
really
scarf, he threw that away. What the?
I was really bothered by that. I was really bothered by that. I really and I'd noticed and then it happened I saw it again, like, they showed the scarf a couple times, I saw
Yeah,
it
they showed
again.
it. Yeah,
And it was I think it was the first time I was like, okay, I mean that's a bit wrong. Then the second time I was like, actually, you know what? I'm really pissed off because I'm really annoyed because I
actually, you
think
know what? This is unacceptable.
this is
That's
unacceptable behavior actually. I'm like, Tommy, you can do all the murders you want. Whatever. Like, but the
not the
scarf.
scarf.
Not the scarf, not the scarf. But
Ooh,
let's
one more
actually
point on
talk
episode 5.
about
Sorry.
yes, yes.
Um, just similar to the killing of Dickie.
Mm,
This, like, for black and white, I just need to mention that this is
mm.
gruesome. Like the way, not gruesome, but like it's so like the blood is so bloody. You know?
Yeah, it
Like it
is.
feels so
It is.
thick. I don't know, something about the way they shoot it. It just feels like when he smashed his head, you just see the blood spurt. You're like, damn. Like it actually took me back. Like I knew he was gonna kill him, but like that's a smash. Like,
Yeah, it definitely took us back. And I think this one was worse.
mm.
Do you know do
Plus
you
he
not feel
walks
like it
back
was
to up to him, and he was about to he was like about to charge him, and it just smack. Smack.
Ugh. I actually really hate I really always I feel I always I'm always moved like emotionally, and it stresses me out when when they try to kill someone, they don't work it doesn't work the first
Oh,
time,
it
but
doesn't
then
go
they
down.
like yeah, and then they have
It's
and
like
then
you
they
have to
have
just
like
you have to
and
put
then
it.
they're
You have to go through it.
crawling. I just don't know what it is. It just completely messes with me. And I just rather just, I mean, obviously everybody rather it's just like a quick slice,
Mhm.
like a nice
Yeah.
beheading, a lovely beheading, just
Exactly. It's like whoop, confirmed dead.
chopped
He's
off.
gone. He's yeah.
I'm dead. And just
But
watching
like,
him just look at him. And you know what? I have to respect Freddie because even when he was looking at him, he still looked at him with such a
yeah, it was
vile
like
look still.
I hate like
He was like,
everything
"I am
part of him
about
was
to
like,
die, but I will not even show any sign of helplessness. Like I'm gonna still give
yeah,
you like you are literally scum on my boots. Like still,
fact. Like that's literally. And to be honest with you, I think there's a part of Freddy that has that like there's a difference between me and you kind of like
yes,
he saw that
yes,
from the jump. He saw the difference between
yes,
him and Tom. And
yes,
then
yes. He did.
when that's even
He
what
did.
led to a suspicion because if he accepted Tom as a person like from the jump,
Mm, mm.
he wouldn't be suspicious about him when he met him as Dickie.
No, he
Um
wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have
but
been.
yeah,
Oh
but like
no,
it's very
you're
it was a good
right.
end. Well, not good end, but like he fought till the end. I respect it. He did what he
So
could.
I wanted to also talk on that point about
Yeah.
the killing of Freddie.
Hmm.
Um, I just found it so weird when so he he then sits down and he has Freddie's body laid out on the sorry to everyone. You signed up for
Oh,
this. You signed
yeah.
up for this, so get ready for gruesome stuff. Like we are okay. I hope you guys are also doing fine. We stand up. He's laying on the ground, and then he sits down and starts pouring alcohol, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
into his
yeah.
mouth,
Into
which
his
which
mouth.
is which is part of the plan. That's okay. But he
Yeah.
sits down as if he's having a drink with him, with his
Yeah.
dead body. Like
And
just
also,
sits
he
down.
pours the alcohol into a cup, then
Yes,
pours the cup of the
yes,
into his mouth.
yes.
You're like,
And I'm just like,
just pull the ball.
just
You
like,
know.
are you having a congratulatory drink with me, the person you killed? Like, am I supposed to say cheers with my dead body? Like, what is going on? I was just
It's
like,
such like
what sort of theatrical, I was just like, oh my goodness, what? But I
there's
don't
so
know,
many
it
points
was,
in this where you're like, he's a psychopath. Like this
he
is
is so weird.
he's
And then
actually a psychopath
the
because
kissing, the kissing he had to do, the
oh
kissing he
yeah,
had
when he
to do.
kissed the oh,
I'm sorry, that
like
was
what the
big bro
fuck?
kissing. He's either
Yeah,
kissed man
it was
before or wants to kiss man. He's queer. I'm sorry. That whole oh, da, 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 he knew what he was doing. He was into it. Like he was into it. Maybe his thing is dead bodies. What did they call that? Is that a kink?
necrophilia, I
Yes,
think.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Uh,
Necrophilia.
yeah,
Dead
it was
body
a little
kink.
moment there. It was
Yeah.
like
No,
that was a weird moment because like you're like, oh come on, you don't. You don't have come on. You don't even have to kiss him. Just like look like you're coming close to him. But you
Just
were. He
literally
was.
looked like he was making out with him,
You know.
having a great time. I was like, okay, I guess I guess that's fun.
And then
Maybe kissing a dead body is where it's at, apparently. Like, I don't know. No, it was really bothersome. I think they were just you're so right. It was incredibly graphic. And I think because it was
mhm,
so procedural, it
mhm.
got to a point where I was kind of shielding my eyes. Like, do I oh, this is like really rough to watch.
Yeah, it's rough. But at the same time, you're like, he's both of his kills, nothing smooth. Like nothing's ever
No.
like he's never. It's
He is
premeditated. You can tell it's
sloppy and
premeditated, but
bad
he's a
at his
sloppy killer.
job.
He's so
Like,
bad. Like he's
he's
a
so
sloppy killer.
sloppy.
Like he went out. He elevator's not working. Let's run, take him down the stairs. Leaves blood
No,
on the stairs.
he's literally
Let's
so sloppy because he left blood on the stairs.
yo
And
and
then
oh
blood in the bath. In the bath. Do you remember the blood in the bath
I
with the
think
rose?
they constantly show how sloppy he is through the whole show because like when he was at the bank and he was like, "Oh, found Tom
Mm.
Ripley," and then he now
Mhm.
comes back as Dickie Greenleaf, and the woman who served him was like just looking at him like, "This is this the same guy? Is this
No.
what's going on over here? Like this seems weird."
What do you think like in terms of like, thematically or whatever, what do you think that is in terms of them showing us how bad he is?
I feel like there's something about this. Maybe it's slightly different from what you're trying to say, but something about the way every time he messes up or people look at him like it's always
Mm.
people of like the hotel manager,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bank clerk, everyone who's like just a regular person can see
Mhm.
that he's like a bad person. Everyone can see it
It's true.
like he's like he sucks like or he's a
Yeah,
scammer or
yeah.
something's off about him because
Mhm.
every single one
Mhm.
of them gives him a look like yeah, like, yo, something's going on here. Like every single one, like all the hotel people after he walks behind always give him that look where it's like something's up. Something's up. But obviously he's paying, so none of them really it's not their
Yeah,
business.
I mean, I guess it's a thing of like, okay, yes, he's paying, so like no one is questioning it.
Yeah.
I
And
just
then it's
wonder
like
because they repeatedly show us how sloppy he is,
repeat
and then
like
also
exactly
repeat.
it's
I
showing him
just
how
find
sloppy
it.
he is and it's like and
Mm,
then obviously all the mistakes he makes, no one finds
mm,
them. Like it's like,
no
oh,
one finds
he
them.
leaves blood on the stairs. The landlord cleans the blood up. He leaves blood on the bathtub. No one
Mm,
looks, or it looks. It doesn't show from the other side, so he
mm,
can't see it. Or he leaves the passport on the table. Two passports on the table. Oh, it's no one really notices. He's wearing
honestly,
Dickie shoes. The only person that
honestly,
notices, Freddie notices that though. That he's wearing Dickie shoes. Or
yeah, he does. Really does notice that. Yeah.
yeah.
So, what do you
To be honest, like
think? Sorry, you were saying
it might be like a bit of a willful, not willful
ignorance.
ignorance, but like that. Yeah, exactly. Just that idea of like you just don't want to believe something like that. Like
I think
you
so.
made up
I think
a
so.
genuine mind. It's like you don't want to believe that. And
Yeah, I can't
yeah.
I can't necessarily figure it out because I think it's that yeah, maybe you just don't want to believe everything, or perhaps it's that idea of when life is so dandy for you because you can buy everything, or you
Yeah.
you're having such a wonderful time all the time. You can't
Mhm.
imagine that someone would ever not like you or do
Or
sinister
scam
things
you,
to you,
yeah. I
or
mean,
kind
it's
of
that like it brings. It's like when with the taxi, how
mm,
Dickie got scammed. Like
yes,
his life is so
yes,
good, he has so much money that he's like, oh, of course I'll just give you money,
yeah,
and of course the cab is
yeah,
just there. Like
yeah,
it doesn't click
exactly.
in their head because everything's just going
Yeah,
so well
because
for
everything
them.
is somewhat kind of disposable in a way because things
Exactly,
are
he's
more
just like it.
infinite.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what it is, but I don't know. It's interesting. It's just interesting the divide between the the
The
scammers
societal.
and the
Exactly.
non-scammers. It's like
Yeah. That's.
it's such a divide, and it
Mhm.
shows especially in the last episode when spoiler, but lovely John Malkovich comes, and it's just
Mhm.
like He marked
It's
him
just like you
straight
know
away.
it's immediately they both know each other and they're like, yeah,
What are
we
you?
we
I'm
know
an
the
art
game. I'm
dealer.
art dealer. Yeah, I'm an
Okay.
art dealer too. You're like, oh,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
all
All right
right.
then.
Yeah, and I think it's the idea of people know each other. Like you,
That's true.
game recognized game. So, like literally
Real.
from the
Like,
jump, the guy who sold the boat.
yeah.
He knew Dickie was about that life.
Oh,
He
he
knew
knew
Dickie was
it.
about that, or
He
not Dickie, sorry,
absolutely
Tom
knew
Ripley
it. Tom
was
Ripley.
about that life. Like
Yeah.
everyone is like, oh, I know you, I know you.
Yeah.
Same thing with the
Yeah.
maid. She's like, something's up with this guy. I know him.
Mm.
Something's
Mm.
up. But to be honest with you, like he does
Mm.
well. We'll talk about that transition,
Mm. Yeah.
episode 8. But
Okay.
do you want to do episode 6? Oh,
Yes. I Before I was going to do episode 6, I was just going
oh
to
yeah,
ask you which part do you think is the hardest part of murdering someone and
yeah.
stowing away the body? Which
The
part do you
hardest part
think is like the most difficult part of like
of
murdering
murdering
someone and
someone,
having to dispose the body or having to like leave the body somewhere for something to be found, basically covering up the fact that you did the murder?
like
Is it the
between.
carrying of the body and not being seen? Like
I
what
think
is
it's
this?
yeah.
Like
I think it's that like that in between time. So the murder has happened, and
yeah.
you know where you're going to put it, or you
Mm,
have okay. I'm gonna throw it in the water. I'm gonna put it in a car and drive it
yeah.
all the way and put it like
Yeah.
make it
So it's
thieves,
like
but
it's a
like
transportation of the
it's the
body itself.
transportation because like that's the
Yeah.
only time you're like, oh, in any like there's no excuse.
Anyone can see
If
you.
anyone finds you with the
And
body,
if anyone
and you're
finds you, I
like,
mean, come on,
you're
it's
exactly
obvious
that in
that you
between
killed
times, like
them.
you're obviously killed them. Like who else would have done it? Like
Yeah, no.
he didn't just get hit with a boat.
Yeah, it's definitely the
Oh my God.
transportation. I mean, the transportation was the whole point. I was gonna say the whole hiccup
Hmm.
with him having to kiss him for
Freddy.
like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So definitely a hard part. But yeah, on that point, we can go to episode 6, some heavy instrument.
Hmm. And
Yes.
do you want to do the synopsis or should I give a little?
You can keep it going.
All right, bet. So this is the point where we find out Freddy. We find Freddy in the car. Everyone finds Freddy in the car. The first police officer finds
Yes.
Freddy in the car from the jump,
Yes.
and then
Hmm.
we this brings in Inspector Clouseau. This is this is our inspector for the game. This is what's his name?
Inspector
Inspector Raviani.
Rabini.
Ravini. That's Ravini. So this is our guy. So it's like okay, um, let's start the inspect. Let's gather the clues. He first goes finds out where Freddy was
Mm.
started.
Mhm.
Gets in touch with Freddy's friend.
Mhm.
Finds out that he went to go see Dickie, and
Mhm.
this is where you find out where he like Dickie and or Tom Ripley and the inspector have their first encounter. And you're like, okay, things aren't going to go well because he messed up. You know, in my eyes, he's like he there's no way
Yeah,
Top gets away with this, but he
that's
gets away
true.
with it first
He
time,
does.
first meeting,
He does.
and then
I mean, the entrance of the inspectors is lovely if we like just stay on that
yeah, it's
because
fantastic. Yeah.
he enters, he's suspicious, he's got lovely mustache, very inspector
Mhm.
looking face, as you can imagine. And
Yeah.
I think I liked the fact that he was the only one that didn't operate on Ripley's time. Everyone else
Mm.
operated on Ripley's time in terms of they entered and Ripley saying, okay, this is what's happening, this is what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
Do you want this? Do you want that? And he has a way of
Yes, he
like
had a like switching the
control.
control of the.
Yeah, he controls the pace even within the conversation
Mhm.
as well. He controls when
Mhm.
he's going to tell you things. He controls the speed of how
Mhm.
you speak about things or questions you ask and blocking them and
That's a good spot.
navigating. And he
Yeah.
was the only one that like wasn't on replace time. In terms of
Yeah.
he wasn't abiding to or replace and he was just like, no, actually answer this question. No, no,
Yeah.
I didn't ask you this, So I quite like that.
Exactly. He was very much like, oh no, what time is it? Tell me what time is it? 1 to 2, 1 or 2.
Hmm. Exactly.
What? He
I
was like very much
also
controlling. Yeah. Yeah.
I also really liked when he said, "Oh, I wish I were." Tom goes, "I wish I were with Ripley." I'm sorry, Tom. Oh, I'm confused. Tom went, "I wish I were with Dickie." You see, it's so confusing because he's just so believable. I'm just so
Yeah.
confused. Like, wow.
Yeah, 'cause
But I was like, I wish I were with Dickie. Maybe. maybe it wouldn't have happened or something like that. And Ravini basically goes, "But you did not." In like the
Yeah.
weirdest. I wanted to like keep that as like a sound bite, so just play that because it's
But you
just,
did not.
but you did not, and and it's just quite funny. And then I wrote when he found the blood, when the landlady found the blood. I wrote, this woman is quite literally deluded. She is in love, blinded.
I love that for her. I love that for her. She's a, she's just like even when she got the letter at the end, she's just like, oh, he's
So
like, it's
happy.
just
Her
like she
little
loves him.
plaything, her little crush.
Oh, yeah. She, to be honest, I liked the characters. Like just like she seems she's even keel and she's very cool, very good character. I feel it worked very well.
I agree.
Um, it
I
was a nice
agree.
little touch.
On that episode, then we see, the whole stuff with the boat and
Hmm.
Marge talking to the boat
Hmm.
people, and
They
he
finally
says
found the boat.
something. Finally, I mean, finally. Honestly, I don't know. I don't want to damn their police system in Italy,
But
but they're working very slowly.
they definitely
They're
do
working very slowly. I'm really confused. Maybe it's just that
it wasn't a
there's just no sense of urgency with
choice.
this. But to
Exactly.
be honest,
It
they're
wasn't a great.
foreigners.
What
If
Dickie
if
and
yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
they weren't. They're not in the system. They're
Yeah,
just people passing through.
to be honest, they're foreigners. So I mean, I guess that there's no sense of ownership over like
Yeah,
whether they're finding them or not. I mean, fair enough.
exactly. Yeah, that's true. They might
Fair
have
enough.
like in their heads it's like they're on holiday. They could have gone anywhere,
That's
literally.
true. They're
So it's
like,
like
this is not our problem, actually.
exactly.
Yeah, no. I thought it was interesting when he says maybe that's not weird either that he didn't tell you things to Marge.
Oh
He
yeah,
talked
yeah,
to
yeah,
her.
yeah.
And I
When he
thought that
first
was
talked to
really
Mark.
strange. I was like, that's very weird. Like,
Mhm.
why would you say that to
But
her?
I think to be honest, with you, I feel like everyone from what Tom had like portrayed, given everyone
Mm.
story
Hmm.
wise, I feel like
Yeah.
everyone was like, yeah, Dickie never loved Marge. Like that's everyone was
That was
on
the
that time except for Marge. Like Marge was
that
like,
was the honestly,
I
Marge was
know
not on
this
that
guy.
time. That was
Yeah,
actually the worst part because maybe that is like the singular truth of the whole thing. Because and I
exactly.
guess
Like
I guess
it wouldn't have worked if it wasn't kind of true.
if it wasn't kind of true, and like maybe it adds back to what we were saying before about like her hesitation of revealing information and stuff like that. She's dealing with a lot of
Hmm.
things. She's dealing with
Hmm.
understanding that the definition of the relationship she thought she had with this man isn't
Yeah,
really
this isn't
truthful to what
real.
she actually had with him. I just thought there was
Exactly.
some
Oh,
insinuation of some, you know, extramarital, extra relationship affairs, some cheating allegations from that man, basically being like, mm,
I
well, I've
don't
seen a
think.
lot of girls
Yeah.
around here, and you're not the only one. So maybe that's not weird. Yeah, no. Um,
Oh,
that was funny. And
it was good.
yeah, and then we
Like,
Arrivederci, and we're on to episode
yeah.
7, which is when we start to kind of cook a bit more in terms of Tom's metamorphosis into
Mm-hmm.
something
Oh,
else. Surprise, surprise.
yeah. This is like
Yeah.
in my head. This episode is like Dickie Greenleaf versus Tom Ripley because this is the moment you're like, okay, Tom Ripley's missing. Tom Ripley's missing. Dickie Greenleaf might kill two people. This is the moment where they actively become like Dickie. He's living two lives. Like he's actively living two lives, and he's like,
I
okay,
mean, multitasking at its
yeah,
best. It's
at his
like
best.
really just
Yeah.
doing a lot of
Well,
stuff.
Inspector comes up, speaks to Inspector as he's on the way down. Marge comes up, speaks to Marge as Tom. He's like, yo, I'm back and forth in this. This is
Mm,
easy. And then, oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But like
yes.
that idea of like Tom living both, like Tom
Mhm,
not being the one that's being suspected. Tom is the imaginary persona. Like Dickie Greenleaf is
mhm.
more real at this moment than Tom is. This
Exactly,
in my
which
head.
is which is
So like,
such an interesting kind of like
yeah,
diversion from where we were, and an interesting kind of
exactly.
duality going on, but also kind
Yeah.
of dichotomy. It's kind of just like, oh, it's I don't know. It's kind of interesting when we get to the end of like what's fake, what's real. And we'll talk about that in
Hmm.
terms of art itself later on. But it's also like
Hmm.
this is where they start to see that of like how like really, I mean, they seeded it from the start, obviously, with him like
Yeah,
doing DIY passports with little like
yeah. Yeah.
white glue. I mean, he's been doing that for a while. But it's interesting what you're saying in terms of like who's Tom, who's Dickie's more real, Tom's more real, Tom is less
Hmm.
real, who's you know what I mean, who's he really,
Exactly. Like,
and
who is he really? Yeah. It was like
it's
it was a great way to do it. I think in the sense of like it was just like, okay, we're not Tom's not really a suspect. Tom's a victim. Now Tom's a
mhm.
victim in this life. Like they think, oh, Tom's missing or
Mm.
possibly dead, so now he's a
Mhm.
victim. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
all that talk. Now Dickie's a suspect. Now he could,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
true. It's true.
that just leads to him to be like, oh, it's finally time to shed Dickie Dickie Greenleaf away.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can take Dickie Greenleaf and throw him away, and then
Mm.
put on my Tom Ripley face again,
Exactly.
and
Yeah, he's
take all
had
the
his
money I
fun.
gave from Dickie Greenleaf, take that cash and go.
Honestly, yeah, it's just it's so interesting how they did it, and I also think then again the use of the stairs was used really well in terms of what you're saying in terms of
Mhm,
his coming down, someone's coming up,
mhm,
and that
mhm,
idea of like you're meeting the point at which you converge and the point at which you kind of pass people by without actually having to
mhm.
interact with them, and that idea of like identity, what sticks, what stays. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was nice. It was nice, and also I think the tone of the whole episode was very much how we're speaking in terms of like yes, no, yes, maybe,
Yeah.
no, no,
Like
yes, no.
it's literally he's dancing on a knife's edge. It's like literally this close at all times
Hmm.
to being found out. Like nothing is like everything he's doing is so haphazard and just okay. Now I need to do this. Now I need to do this. Let me just quickly do
Yes,
this. It's like he's just reacting. So like
yes.
everything is just as a nice edge because
Hmm.
one
Hmm.
second, if Marge just took 1 second, like she
One
was 1 second
second.
faster, or if she took some time to talk to the
Hmm.
inspector in that
Hmm.
day, what they'll be like, oh, Tom's upstairs. No, Dickie's
Hmm.
upstairs, and
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
immediately you both start speaking. Oh, of course he's not
Yeah,
the same person. They'll go back upstairs, but just
I
a
agree. Yeah,
slight little bits of chance,
that's true.
serendipity help this
That's
guy
true.
make it through
Serendipity.
because like also
Serendipity.
like well there's pictures on Marge's table, the pictures that would
Hmm.
have been like, oh,
Hmm.
that's Dickie Greenleaf, this is Dickie Greenleaf. The officer looked at the pictures, but then he was like, you know what, I don't know who this person is. He didn't
That's
really
true.
obviously he's not going to react to the pictures and she didn't want him to even look at the pictures, so you're like,
Mm.
okay, the
Yeah,
little things are just making it
it's
so
a little thing. And and to piggyback on your point, it's very,
yeah.
very true because
Mhm.
I did think while I was kind of watching it, not much happens in this episode, and I think in terms of
Mhm.
actual plot, this is for me the one where there really isn't much at all. Like it's
Mm.
kind of like there's stuff going on, but I think this is the slowest for me. I know when I
Okay.
was watching it, I found it the slowest, but I also didn't find it. I still found it enjoyable. I thought everything
Yeah,
was
very much.
operating at a level that was underneath the surface level in
Mhm,
terms of we're supposed to like it's supposed to be on that knife's edge, just kind of
mhm,
like just there. You are at the precipice, but you're still kind of like going there linearly, like still kind of. And so I just think, yeah, it was slow, but I thought to myself, no, actually, it's more of like a you're supposed to be anticipating something, and you're
yeah.
supposed to kind of want you're yearning, and then they don't get it. It's like just yeah, right, just that kind of like serendipity, not really, you
Yeah,
know.
and and like it's just that little bit of work. Like throughout this episode, he's just cleaning up. Like he's like, okay,
Cleaning up because
my
he's so
Dickie Greenleaf
sloppy.
might be caught. Exactly, he's like, Dickie might be caught now, so let me start cleaning up. Let me go get my other passport from the Rome house. Let me go what's the name? I think this is the point where he's like actually building his plan of escape. Like this is like in his head, the
Hmm.
wheels are turning because then he's like,
Hmm.
okay, let me
Hmm.
pretend like I'm depressed. When
That's true.
on it's like let me do the little things here and there. It's like okay, they're gonna come back and ask this hotel man
Hmm.
questions, so
Hmm.
I'm gonna give him a story that he can tell who can tell them and things like that. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
where's the ferry for Tunis? And you're like, oh, you're
Gosh,
like, okay, that's
honestly. But
yeah.
we did say last episode we didn't touch on March. And I
Mar
said,
yeah, I have actually
no.
have a
I
lot
said,
to talk about
no, no,
March.
no. I said, no, 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 no. I'm gonna have so much to say on March next episode. So we say we're gonna have so much to say on that. March, you disappointed me. And you disappointed womankind as well. You you embarrassed me and my people. I expected so much more from you, and I got basically nothing from you. What? You had an assignment and you did not complete it. You didn't even bother to even bring a pencil to try and complete it. You didn't enter the exam room much. It was horrible. I was so disappointed. I was waiting, waiting, waiting. And surprise, surprise, episode 8, still not much.
She's she definitely doesn't complete what she needs to do. She's in my head, she's no different from Tom as a like
Yeah,
the way she works. Oh, and even like you can tell from the way the way
sloppy.
like she's sloppy, and at the same time she's also she she didn't go to what's the name Dickie Greenleaf for the good reasons. I in my head,
Mm,
yo, she's a girlfriend, she loves him, but
mm.
it doesn't seem like she loves him at the by the end of it. You're like, yo,
Oh,
did you
let's
actually
get
love him?
into
Like, did you?
that.
Yeah, it's
What so
like
what so
he's.
what reasons do you think what do you think were her true reasons for being
I
with him
mean,
then if she didn't
she's
love him?
a mid America, Midwestern. Is
Mm,
in Memphis. She's from Memphis. She doesn't come from a rich background. I don't think she
mhm,
doesn't have that same background as Dickie.
mhm.
They met in Italy, or did they? Actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they met in
I
Italy. But
think I think they might have met before they came in. They
okay.
came in there, yeah.
But she's you could just see from the jump that okay, he lives in a great house. She lives in like a less so great house. It's a
That's
lot
true.
more
That's true.
rinky dink comparatively to Dickie. And
Mm,
then at the same time, she's like she's working on this book, she's trying struggling, da da da.
mm,
And then
mm.
what's his name? Tom just comes in, starts living with Dickie. This is all the things she wanted. She wanted to live in a big house. She wanted to live that life. What? Don't have to work. Just
Sugar
do. You
baby
don't have to do
was
anything. Exactly.
replaced. The
She
sugar
got
baby position
replaced.
was already filled and then they fired her and
Yo.
employed a new sugar baby.
And then when it came down to like the end, when it's like, oh, I'm asking you questions about Dickie. Yeah, she wants to
Mm,
get Dickie back, but the second
mm.
she finds out Dickie is like off and gone and out of reach, she's like, let me circle this around. Let me use this for what I can. Sees the guy, the journalist with the taking pictures, pose, just pose, like, yo, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This man is supposedly committed suicide,
Mhm.
and he's a supposedly a murderer. Like,
Mhm.
you might not believe it, but like
Yeah.
come on, you gotta fight for him. You gotta fight for him a bit. Like she's not
Yeah,
even
no,
fighting
it's
a
true.
little. She's like, I'm gonna sell this book and then I'm gonna sell another book that's gonna be completely on Dickie. And they're like, yo,
Honestly, I think it's true. So everyone's definitely for their,
but
especially her and Tom, for their own agenda. To be
oh, big time.
honest, and using Dickie in the ways that the different ways that they did,
Yeah,
and maybe
that's a
that's why she was so suspicious at the start. Actually,
mm-hmm.
not
That's a
because she was worried
it's
about
a
Dickie
real
Dickie
recognize real
sneaking.
game, recognize game.
She was like, "Listen,
She's a scammer too.
I know a freeloader when I see one."
Exactly. That's literally it.
So
Like she was so and she was like when it was her turn to get to keep Tom back, she was like, "Oh, I can stay." So just pause another drink. It's like, "Oh, I can cancel
good
my hotel ticket, my hotel booking." She's like, "All right, bet."
gosh, yeah, yeah. And on that note, episode
Yeah,
eight.
episode 8. Yeah, that
Episode 8,
the finale.
the finale. Careful, it's
Free bird.
slippery.
Careful, it's slippery. Oh, that's actually the little the what do you call it again? When you're suggestive about I forgot the proper term for it, but constantly
Mhm.
going back to he could slip on the moss. Oh, the
Oh,
moss
is
is
it a
scary.
motif?
And it's like,
Like a
yeah,
motif
it's
or
a
something?
I think it's a motif, but I think there's a word for it.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
that like that slippery, that caution area in the front, like from the
Mhm.
beginning. They place it there. They're constantly like calling back to
It's
it.
true.
You're like,
Yeah.
somebody's gonna die. Somebody's gonna get killed there.
Yeah.
She's there
Yeah.
drunk. She's there drunk twice. And you're like, she's got
Wise.
to die. Like at this point, you're like, she's got to like push her. And then you're like, they're just playing with you. It's this
Mhm.
bit of fun. It's like almost got him. She must. It's also like using that opportunity or that imagery
Mhm.
to then go,
Mhm.
okay, she's gonna find out, and then
Yeah.
they constantly put the bag underneath the bed. She's gonna find out. She's
Mhm.
gotta find
Yeah.
this, and then the way she finds out is now the ring in a in a jewelry box or in a knitting box. And you're
Oh
like,
my goodness. Oh my
these
goodness.
guys are they're messing with me, and she doesn't even find out. Find out. She just finds the ring, which is like
Yeah,
all the other evidence would have been more indicting, but the ring is like, oh, I could flip this slightly, even though
that's
maybe
true.
it shouldn't
Yeah.
have worked.
It
It
just
worked.
I mean, I didn't think it should work, but who's to
Exactly.
say? But you're right in terms of them playing with us, and now we can go back and talk about the whole idea because I think once I got to episode 8, I started to think perhaps
Mhm.
this is also a bit of satire on the whole thing. Because there's no way because I was watching it and I didn't necessarily think I thought, okay, like they were having this kind of like tete-a-tete, us
Mhm.
the viewer, them the writer, they're kind of or the creators, they're playing with us and we're having fun. We like them playing with us. You know what I mean? We're accepting them playing
Yeah,
with us and we're having this lovely, we know what we're here
back and
for.
forth. Yeah.
And then I'm just like, actually, no, maybe the whole thing is really actually a satire on kind of identity and
Mhm.
persona
Mhm.
and immersion replication because the whole art thing is super important and it's from the
Yeah, we
beginning
need
to
to
the
dive.
end the
Yeah.
paintings motif the whole idea of all the Caravaggio paintings
Yeah.
and looking
The
into
fact that
them
Caravaggio himself is a
exactly.
murderer, like oh yeah, they even start off the last episode. I forgot about that. They started the last
Mhm.
episode in what 1660, and in
Yes.
Rome with Caravaggio. You're like, oh,
Mhm.
this painting motif is like they're going Tom Tom and Caravaggio. They're the same. They're one of the same kind of vibe.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like,
it's and the whole thing is when they talk about the light and it's all about the light and you
hmm
see him move the light so
hmm
you can't see stuff. It's like you're hiding some elements and showing the
yeah,
elements you want in the light, and that's how he was able to create
like
his
20
disguise.
minutes right. Exactly.
I mean, I'm
That
sorry, I,
disguise.
I don't even want to because we talked about his sloppiness too much. Like we don't need to any viewer would understand I mean by disguise with air quotes because what the hell? But okay, fine,
But
fine.
in my head, I'm like, the only way in my head that worked was because of
Hmm.
the how confident he was with it.
That's true.
Like, you don't
That's
just
true.
step in front. You have the same face. You haven't changed anything. You have the same
Literally,
face. You have a bigger
literally
beard now, and you have
same
a wig on, but it's
face.
the same face. So like,
Literally
you
same.
guys are either twins or something. Like,
No, it was interesting and
it was
yeah,
very
I think
interesting.
it's interesting at the end when you kind of think maybe and also it makes me think maybe that is the reason why they made the show in the way they made it because
Mm,
obviously you have the talented Mr. Ripley already being made
hmm
and
Yeah.
um you have a movie like Saltburn as well. They use this idea of, fake and coming to infiltrate and become one
hmm
of them and take over. That's also similar. I
hmm
was very reminded of Saltburn when he wrote the quick fox
Quick
something
box
that
from yeah,
yeah
like
that
yeah,
that typical phrase
the
and it
sentence.
reminded
Yeah.
me of Saltburn when you see him typing for his book and he's just typing FGGCC or whatever like random words on his
hmm
keyboard. So it's quite interesting that I was thinking about that, but I don't know. I think maybe the reason why this is like nuanced and fun, not because it's so visually, enticing and
hmm
they're doing something different. It's slower. It's more procedural. It's everything. I think it's also because I do think there's elements of satire in it as well, in terms of
Yeah, I think
they
so.
are kind of making fun of us. Like we
There's like a
also,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like that little bit of like, oh, just add a little bit of comedy. Not comedy, but like just a little bit of
Mm,
dark humor. Just a little bit of dark humor here and there. You're like the
exactly.
moments
Because
like
when
sometimes.
Because
Go go.
when John Marcus's character comes in and he goes, "Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm an art dealer." And I'm like, mm.
Yeah,
And he goes, What do you
yeah,
do? I'm an art dealer too. And he goes, Yeah, I could tell. And I'm
exactly.
just like,
Same with you. It's like the back and forth. You're like, it's kind of funny. It's kind
Oh
of nice.
God.
Like,
Like, I'm just like, Gosh. Yeah, and there's just that element. I think we can now circle back as we've finished and watched it to
hmm
talk about the whole concept of art and painting and
hmm
fakes and and what's
That's
real, what's fake in this. Like,
fakes
what do you
is
think about that?
exactly. So like that constant motif of like, oh, real versus fake and all of that. Like from the especially in this second half. When what's his name? Freddie comes in and puts the little Picasso on the painting that he made.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, this is the fake version. Like Tom, like it's that idea of like Tom is just always the fake version of uh
Hmm.
of Dickie, or like just everything he does about him, or all the work that he puts out. Like even though he's a better artist than Dickie, Ike, it was like, oh, this Dickie got really good. And then when they
Yeah.
were when they showed his work, it's like, oh, Dickie's really good now. And like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not Dickie, but he was able to put that like, this is what the fake version is. Like
Hmm.
you might be putting all your work into it. You might be like, it might even be better in some ways, but you're not this guy. You're fake. You're
Hmm.
Dickie. You're not in this life. Like you're so different. You're out of here. Like you're not in
Yeah.
this societal bubble.
Hmm.
Um,
And it's also
I
on
think that
us and
mhm.
our own believability of the value of something as
Yeah,
well. You
yeah,
know, because a lot of
that's
things
true.
is just narrative, like it's a story you spin. To
Like the Picasso, the first Picasso. Like we don't know if that's a real Picasso.
oh
Like
goodness, who knows
yeah, like
now?
yeah, that's exactly. And you're like, but like the value of it, well, it seems expensive. You just in your head you imagine it's a real Picasso, but the chances are it's not. Like,
Probably
why
not.
does Dickie Greenleaf have a Picasso? Like, he's rich, but like, is he
Hmm.
that rich?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. 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 So I guess on that note, we
hmm
are leaving the Italian landscape of
Yeah,
Ripley, of Andrew Scott.
yeah,
We're leaving it. We're leaving
yeah.
Steven's landscape, and yeah,
Fantastic
any
quotes, man.
final thoughts? Any final thoughts?
Um, if you want to do like a little Italian 101, that's the second half is there's a lot more Italian. I say it's like 60% Italian.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
So
this is better than Duolingo. Like, watch
yeah,
the
that's
show. You don't need to. You don't need to use Duolingo anymore.
exactly.
Honestly,
Ooh,
yeah.
actually, that this is a I know
Hmm.
that this is like
Yes.
extended the time, but like
Mm.
the movie had a lot of
Hmm.
focus on how how smart like Matt Damon was, and like
Yes.
the that Thomas Ripley was.
Yeah.
But in this one, they don't. They're like very less so on how smart he is, even though he's
Hmm.
actually incredibly smart. Because what he learned Italian in what, a couple months?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that's incredible. Man was just he didn't know a lick of Italian when he came in by episode one,
Yeah.
and then by episode eight, you're like, this guy is he's fluent. He's speaking with all these Italian people like he's very
Yeah,
good,
I totally
and
agree
he's
with you,
like,
and I think it's like something of like on that note of like um, it's that thing of anyone can do anything. It's that confidence thing you mentioned. It's the
hmm
confidence in which he carried himself in doing it.
exactly,
So
yeah,
it goes back to also that Dickey and his paintings and him knowing his shit
yeah,
but still doing it. It's that just like if you're confident, if like you can, if you believe in yourself, you can, or some that kind of.
yeah,
I think maybe that's more so where I think maybe I think that this is like more so where the satire comes from because you're
yeah.
just like what you know but then it doesn't matter because I guess what they're trying to show you is other things, not necessarily, you know,
The
how
fact
smart
that
he
he's
is, I
yes, he is
guess.
exactly how good he is at Italian. It's really not the
Maybe
point.
it's the charisma, the riz,
Oh no,
the
no.
riz. Anyway, on that note, I'll leave everyone with the riz of Thomas Ripley. Tom Ripley, Tom for short, T. Yeah, we're leaving the
What's it
world.
gonna be? Frank Farkle? What's his new name now? Is he even Tom Ripley? That's another thing.
We who
He's
even
not
knows
even. We
what his
don't know.
name is? He's probably
We don't
John
know if he's
now.
even Tom Ripley. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. He
the
never
most all the code names. Now he's probably
exactly.
like John Doe or some bullshit like that. But yeah,
He's,
we leave the world of Ripley.
mhm.
Yeah, so arrivederci and Finn from
Arrivederci.
us, and yeah, lovely
Yeah,
podding with you, Shure. And
lovely podding.
yeah, no
It was
problem. All
fun. It
right.
was fun. Right.
Okay, and that's us.